all the 80s wrestling. People are like, Cino, you got to give us some more wrestling stories, man. All right, I'll give you this one. Because we've talked about it many times on the live stream, but not the way it should have been done. So let's do it this way. Now, this is the format it should be done at. Vince McMahon, and y'all saw Zeus, the human wrecking machine, when they were making this movie, his character was based off of Black Superman himself, Tony Atlas. And he saw a movie that starred Tony Lester. And it was a movie called Armed and Dangerous. Vince McMahon ended up seeing it with John Candy. And he saw this mountain of a man, always slapping his muscles, and had a body, and he was, man, this guy, this guy could be a wrestler. And he was at Gold's Gym working out with most of the wrestlers, and they're in the gym working out, and he was an actor. And Vince McMahon told him, you have the body I need. I have a movie coming up, and they wanted him to audition for the movie. Vince wanted him to be the nemesis to challenge Hulk Hogan. The human wrecking machine, Zeus. Vince came up with the name, everything. So Tony Lister saw the list and said, I don't have any speaking lines in this whole movie. I basically had, like, what's my motivation? He's like, it's the look, it's the body, it's intimidating. You ever see Jason Voorhees, those Friday the 13th movies? He doesn't talk, but people are afraid of him. I want them to be afraid of Zeus. So, this is why Zeus didn't have any lines. And they basically removed lines from Zeus. Now, well, Vince knew the less he spoke, the more dangerous he sounded. The most dangerous he could become. All he has to do is not speak. Everything else was sold. Now, they've already done this match before when Hogan used to go up against Tony Atlas. Black Superman. Somebody he was going to make a star. He wanted that body. Tony Atlas. Tony Atlas' problem was that he was limited with his wrestling abilities. And he was good at big press slams and posing in the ring and drop kicks. But other than that, he didn't really have too many moves. But it was the body that Vince loved. But him and Tony, they just could never stay eye to eye. Plus, Tony had his own vices. Now, with Zeus, he could get this right. The hell is that? Somebody came after my page. So, with all of this being said and done, you saw a situation where everyone else said, man, this is pretty interesting. Like what we got going here seems pretty interesting. The movie's gonna call No Holds Barred. Hulk Hogan's in it with a new name, Rip. So while they're making this movie and it's supposed to be the epic Hulk Hogan come out movie, this is gonna set the tone for WWE movies. This ended up being one of Vince McMahon's doing because of the success of it, the merchandising of the products of Zeus and Rip and all of these things here. Vince was keeping all of the money from the actual character rights. So to make things right with Tony Lister, he says, listen, you're a character actor and you're damn good. But let me introduce you to the sport of professional wrestling. How would you like to work with me? And I'll guide you to professional wrestling. You'll be one of the top wrestlers in the game. He's like, man, I'm an actor. He's like, this is what it is. This is a performance. This is a dance. You give me some months in time, just a year total. If you don't like it in 6 months, we'll quit. And then you can go. Vince McMahon paid Tony Lister, who was Zeus, paid him handsomely to continuously play the role of Zeus. Now, he's an actor, so his agent is negotiating these deals. And he's like, well, my client has other scripts on the table for movies. Do you wish to continue this path? Because my client can't get hurt. And Vince said, don't worry, in the script, your client barely gets hit. Like, he doesn't even get hurt when he gets hit. He's barely involved in any type of match that requires a lot of energy out of him. He's really just for show. The other wrestlers are going to be doing all the activity. Zeus is methodical, doesn't really move, clothesline people and chokes people out. That's all he does. It's the look, it's the intensity. That's what people are paying for. So, when all of this was said and done, they liked what they heard. Everybody was like, okay, let's go along with this. So for 6 months, he was paid almost, I want to say, at that time in the 80s, he was paid close to $100,000, which was the most money he had ever gotten in his life for playing Zeus. He made $100,000. Now, a lot of people say that's not a lot of money. It was a lot of money in the 80s when he was basically getting less than $5,000 to be in a movie. He was making less than that being a personal trainer for some of these athletes trying to get them in shape, as he had a contract down at the gym. And one of the actors or producers or whatever got him into Hollywood. But besides that, Vince wanted him to remain a wrestler, but he couldn't afford the agent's new deal. And he had a movie role coming up, and he was not going to skip it. He was actually going to partake in that movie role, and Vince said, okay, well, we're going to do this pay-per-view, and then that's going to be a bulk of the money, and we're going to pay Tiny Lister off of the pay-per-view, which they did, and they gave him a lump sum of money, and they wanted him to continue. And he said, well, I got to go film this movie. That's going to be 2 months. And so Vince ended up scrapping the whole idea because it just jumped the shark. The fans was tired of Zeus. The movie, promotion and wore off. So they had no longer any use for Zeus. Plus, he didn't want to become a full-time wrestler. So that was the case. Now, what they did was create a buzz, and it gave Macho Man the sidekick he needed to have him and Zeus together going up against Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and putting them in the steel cage. And it made a great amount of money for a side production called The King of the Ring. Quite sure you could find it on YouTube or somewhere around here, but that's where Zeus made a lot of his money. In that one match, he was able to make a lot of money. As he was in Survivor Series, Vince kept him paid by putting him on pay-per-view events, but would have him come out and like attack Hogan and things of that nature. But the match was actually the bigger, event. And what made Hulk Hogan so iconic is that he was like Batman going up against all of these super villains. You had Bundy, you had Piper, you had Andre the Giant, and Zeus. You had all these different type of characters. Macho Man, the Madness. So it was an exciting time in the 80s because wrestling was booming to the point where no one ever thought it would be on the main stage where entertainers are coming out to watch it. This was normally some backyard, backwoods in Texas and down south. This is just small time wrestling entertainment. Now it's on the main screens and the main stage, so it made its money at that time. It did its job and got its point across. But could Zeus have been the next Tony Atlas had he decided to stay into wrestling and not go into acting? Acting was more lucrative for him, so being a wrestler, traveling city to city, doing shows and events, he didn't have to do all those things. He was an actor, so he was able to, when it was his time to do his parts, he would just come in and do his parts, and then that was it. He didn't have too much training for wrestling. Just go over some small things in the match that they were going to do. But he was paid a lot more than some of the wrestlers who were there. So let me know what you think. Did Vince have the right idea? I mean, the marketing strategy worked out, but that's how it went down. And they mirrored him after Tony Atlas, Black Superman. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the page if you're new, and it's your boy Carcino, and I'm out.